Don't you understand? I've already paid in full, and now it's my turn to cash in. You are like one of my pet rats that I stroke, cuddle. It's a date with destiny. It's the countdown to your extinction. Have a nice day.
All right. The Wrestlebros are back. Captain Lou, Vic Blaze. And we're going to talk a little Crown Jewel 2021.
Need a little Crown Royale to make that work, you know what I'm saying? We should have done that as a little bit of a little toasty there. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute. We miss you guys. Hopefully y'all haven't left us yet. You know, we're here. Let's entertain y'all.
All right, let's get right into it. And how about we start with which title is that? Is that the Raw Women's Championship? SmackDown Women's Championship. Okay,
with all the Raw talents except for
but two, yeah, right. It's gonna be confusing, and whatever. We'll get into it. Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair. And let me start by saying, for a three-way or a triple threat or whatever you want to call it, they did a lot of three-person stuff, which is rare. It's, you know, usually you get the one person, you kick them out, you have a 2-minute, 3-minute interaction. That person comes in, kicks another person out. 2-3 minute interaction. They had like what felt like 20 spots that were three-person spots. It felt like it was like a lot. Very creative, and these girls worked a very athletic style, a very fun style, a very creative style. It was a good time, at least, you know. You know, it's hard to have these matches make sense, but this was a fun time for me. I enjoyed it. But let's pick up towards the end here. So Bianca's gonna hit the KOD on Becky after a bunch of three-person maneuvers. Then Sasha's gonna do they try to do the classic steal the win, right? Which they tricked me because I was like, oh no, I hate this. I don't hate it, but I see it so often. So Sasha's gonna steal the win, but no, Bianca's not a dumb babyface. So Bianca goes, no way. She reverses it, throws Sasha out of the ring. Sasha pulls Bianca out, jumps in, goes for the pin. Then Becky kind of reverses it, grabs the rope, 1, 2, 3. I mean, I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah, she outsmarted them. But yeah, I thought it was a good time. You can't really go wrong with any of these talents. Like, you know, Becky. I mean, I wish Becky was a babyface. I don't agree with turning her heel, but it's hard, I guess, with the women that they have. There's a lot of talent, you know, not a lot of TV time to go around. So I guess you got to do what you got to do. But, well, there is a lot of TV time, but you can't give the women all the TV time, even though it feels like they deserve it. I think there's more women over than men in WWE.
Well, that's debatable, but you know,
or women acts, because the whole Roman Reigns squad is over.
Mm-hmm.
But that's an act. That's one
that's
act.
The unit. Yep, that's the unit.
Yeah, but anyway, good match. No complaints from me. What did you think?
I thought the match was a lot of fun. You know, obviously, when it comes to triple threat matches, one of the biggest concerns that I have is that it usually turns out to be a bunch, as you said, a bunch of one-on-one matches. You know, with inside that one match. The match was laid out very well in the fact that all three women got to have their shine. All three women basically, they all looked fantastic. They basically had Bianca Belair, even though in a loss, she didn't lose the match. So that's, you know, obviously it's still, we already know where we still see where the projection is going. the projection is still going to Bianca Belair beating Becky Lynch at some point for the title in a one-on-one match. They utilized all the pieces correctly. In other words, Becky Lynch is she's clearly the heel in this trio, although it's still a very pseudo heel, not because Becky's not doing her job right, it's just the audience doesn't want to boo her. Sasha Banks, although she acts like a heel and is probably the best prototypical heel, but she's kind of lost in the shuffle here only because she has historical issues with Becky Lynch, but her recent issues are with Bianca Belair. And then Bianca Belair is the clear baby face, and she has issues with both. Obviously with Sasha Banks, not necessarily taking the women's title off of her. It's more a matter of the fact that all the aftermath, leading into SummerSlam, and that didn't work out. And then Becky Lynch came in, and, winning the title in 26 seconds was a shock, and, wasn't exactly the best way to utilize it. But under the circumstances, I understood that matches like this were going to be the aftermath of that. So I was willing to take that really lousy bitter pill at SummerSlam in terms of the 26-second match for, what we got here, which was a 20-minute triple threat match, which was fantastic. Realistically, the right person won. I don't think that it was the right time to do a title switch. Becky Lynch has only been champion for about 2 months now, and Becky's been gone for the last year and a half. So to have her be the champion is a good thing because she is one of the top stars. She's, she looks amazing. I mean, she's in better shape now than she was prior to being pregnant. Her mic skills are still sharp. Her wrestling has actually gotten better. Like she's never been the most smooth technical wrestler, but it's much better. It's really, really good. Sasha Banks is Sasha Banks. I mean, I've always advocated that Sasha Banks is, at least to me, the best women's wrestler in the WWE. And a lot of it is based upon the fact that she could play both roles. She does them very well. She's always believable. In this match, believe it or not, the star of the match was Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair, in multiple occasions, when you're talking about the three-person spots, it was all based around Bianca Belair's strength. And they showcased it. I mean, Bianca Belair did a military press on Sasha Banks and held her with one arm. Mm-hmm. Then, all the spots where Becky and Sasha were trying to double team, and then Bianca Belair would just stand up and lift them both up and do all the power moves. So realistically, this was exactly the match that I would have hoped for with these three women, because Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks are already they're made in the WWE. I mean, they're probably as over as they're going to get. Bianca Belair, I kept saying that Bianca Belair, even after she won the women's title at WrestleMania, it was a trajectory that needed to move up. Winning the championship is usually the culmination where you're like, okay, you've made it, and now you've cemented yourself, you've established yourself as whoever you're going to be. With Bianca Belair, I always felt that the title reign was just the beginning of her push, and then she had to continuously keep being the champion and keep winning. But in this particular case, matches like this are actually a huge plus for her because she did not lose, which is exactly what should have happened. She didn't lose. And on top of that, the way that she clearly looked in this match that if it took Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks, and the two of them cannot successfully keep her down, then it almost looks like the next time Becky Lynch faces Bianca Belair in a one-on-one match for the women's title on television, it's going to be time for the title switch. At least that's the projection that this match gave. And I think that was very well done. Whoever laid out this match did a phenomenal job. They deserve a lot of credit. And the wrestlers as well, because they played their parts perfectly. It's just a matter that, technically triple threat matches are not that great, but I did like the ending as well. I thought that it was a twist on the classic finish. And basically Bianca and Sasha just kind of looked at each other like, well, at the end it's like, well, we basically canceled each other out and Becky Lynch outsmarted them. So very, very well done. I really enjoyed that match. Makes me want to see more of all three.
Damn, I'm gonna look for it throughout this video. There is a report that breaks down who produced most of these matches.
Okay.
So I'll go find that. The only one I think they didn't have was Edge and Seth. They might have just did it themselves with no help. I don't know.
I highly doubt that.
It felt like it.
I'll
explain that later, but it did not feel like a WWE match in a good way. I mean that in a good way. Okay, let's move along. Let's go to, how about we go to the King of the Ring final?
Sure.
Finn Bálor versus Xavier Woods. This was not, it was a short 10-minute match. Nothing crazy here. Two solid workers. They went out there, had a solid match. The point of the match is afterwards. It's Xavier Woods, who has made it publicly known that this is like a dream for him. King of the Ring, 7 years. He's been pushing for this King of the Ring thing, So, I think it's cool. It's not, I was shocked that Xavier won this because it's such a, this is like it felt like a babyface thing to do as a company. You get what I'm saying? It was a nice thing to do for Xavier Woods. They gave Kofi some super cool moments over the last couple of years. Big E just had his big moment. Xavier Woods always feels like an afterthought, which I don't think he should be. In my opinion, he's the best on the mic. In my opinion, he's the best worker. He's the most well-rounded. So I think it's nice that they did something for him. And it's I saw like I don't know I don't know where I saw it, if it was Instagram or if they actually showed it, but they showed him afterwards. They interviewed him, and it was pretty good, pretty emotional. He was really happy, so that was nice to see.
I mean, listen, I'm very happy that Xavier Woods, excuse me, for lack of a better term, basically got his flowers as an individual talent in this particular tournament. However, when I see the tournament as a whole, the King of the Ring, with all due respect, and listen, I think the world of Finn Bálor as a performer, and I think the world of Xavier Woods. I've been basically watching both of these guys now for the better part of 15 years. I basically saw everything that Xavier Woods has done with the exception of his very beginnings in the Indies. When he started in TNA, this was in 2008. So you do the math, that's a long time. And what ends up happening is that when you have these two really, really good in-ring performers and they go out there and wrestle, yeah, they're going to have a great match. Here's where the problem lies. The match had no real heat because both guys are baby faces. Both guys have not had any interaction in any way, shape, or form in the past that would lead us to believe that there's any nuggets, or any callbacks to anything in this match. It was a good match for the sake of a good match with the King of the Ring tournament on the line. Now,
right,
it would have made more sense to me, obviously in the tournament, if Xavier Woods would have beaten Kofi Kingston to get to the finals and not Jinder Mahal. I understand that, probably the New Day members are very adamant about not wanting to break up and not wrestling each other, but you gotta want to have these kinds of moments because this is how, you're going to have more of an established moment, projection wise. Yes, it's a big win for Xavier Woods, and Xavier Woods, I believe, is going to do a fantastic job as the King of the Ring.
Me too.
Because he has a tremendous amount of charisma, amazing personality. He's a baby face that the audience really likes, and he's going to do really well with this gimmick. My concern is that the King of the Ring tournament, every time that the WWE has brought it back over the last, I don't know how many times they've done it, it seems less and less important because the fact that the way that they set up the brackets, it's basically guys who, for lack of a better term, they're not hot at the moment. And I understand you can say that for a lot of talents in the WWE, but in this particular case, when you see the brackets, the way they were lined up, you really look at it and say, okay, who would win this that you would really care about? Was I surprised that Xavier Woods won? Absolutely not, because with all due respect, a guy like Finn Bálor, he would bomb as the King of the Ring. because Finn Balor's Finn Balor. He could be the Bullet Club Finn Balor. He can be the Demon Finn Balor. He could be, this iteration that he discovered at NXT the last go around. But as the King of the Ring, I think that it would be just a title and namesake, but not a gimmick that he can wear and work with. Versus Xavier Woods, he's going to take this gimmick and he's going to run with it. He's going to have a lot of fun with it. And this is just the reason why, as much as I'm happy for Xavier Woods that, he got a really big crowning achievement as a singles talent and he did it by himself. He won all the matches by himself. But at the end of the day, the tournament as a whole felt flat. It's not any disrespect to the talents. It's just a matter that it wasn't lined up and it didn't really feel important. It just felt like it was something that they did to just add a match and attraction for this Crown Jewel show, not necessarily something that you could see that all 8 guys who were in the tournament were somehow in a trajectory that this is going to be a big thing and that the fans should watch and care about. So that's my only real complaint. But kudos to both guys. They had a good match. And again, I really like Xavier Woods. And I know that he's going to take this gimmick and have a great time with it. So I'm happy that he's the King of the Ring, if for nothing else, that alone.
Yeah, look, like you said, there's not enough people in WWE men that are hot to make this tournament feel important. And they haven't done a good job of making the King of the Ring feel important in, I don't know, God knows when. The only time King of the Ring, since we were kids, basically. When we were kids, it meant something. But, as adults, the King of the Ring has kind of sucked unless you get lucky and give it to a character and it helps their character and they can play with it. And I know 5 seconds in when Xavier he grabs the crown and I'm like, oh yeah, he's going to play with this and it's going to be hilarious. That's fine by me.
My hope is, my sincerest hope, and I know that for the New Day, they may not want to break up, but I sincerely hope that this is the impetus to break up the New Day in terms of making Xavier Woods a heel, meaning that he gets a little too big for his britches within this gimmick. And he starts taking the King gimmick a little too seriously and then starts thinking that he's better than Kofi. And I mean, I know that Big E's not on SmackDown, so that issue won't happen. But if they were all on the same show, it would be a lot of fun to see them interact with each other and little by little see Woods healing on his guys a little bit, just taking little jabs, but then eventually building towards, Xavier Woods going on his own and maybe taking this gimmick as a heel gimmick. But for right now, I like what I'm seeing, and I'm hoping that with Xavier Woods, this gimmick is going to be a dress up for him in terms of giving him a nice babyface push as a single star, because realistically, he's got all the tools. It's time.
All right, let's go to Goldberg versus Lashley in a I'm gonna kill you match. There was a lot of I'm gonna kill you in the build up to this.
Which is not, yeah, I'm not.
I mean, whatever. People talk like that all the time, actually, in real life. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. But they're not. But
yeah,
it's just funny.
Yeah, it's just it is what it is. I mean, it is
what it is. But I will say this: this match was a lot more fun than I expected. It went a lot longer than I expected. I thought the guys looked good. I had a good time watching this match. I was pleasantly surprised, even though Lashley has been doing a good job for a while now with his matches. So I shouldn't be surprised, but with Goldberg, you never know. You never know what you're gonna get. But like I said, I had a pretty good time with this, and all right, so let's talk about this. Lashley, right off the bat, pulls out a chain out of his tights. I thought that's a nice little thing to do. Starts getting a lot of heat on Goldberg. He introduces a table, takes out Goldberg's knee, brings a chair. He's beating up on Goldberg's knee. And Goldberg was selling his ass off. I don't know how bad his knee actually is. I think it's pretty bad.
I thought his knee was actually pretty bad because when I was watching him walk to the ring, he was limping a little bit, even before the match started. So I think that this was, yeah, he's probably selling, but you know, there's
I mean,
a little bit of that is just a little bit of that is him actually hobbling around, you know. So
the hobbling is fine. I'm talking about his facials, he looked like he was being tortured. He probably does have a real knee injury, but they played it up, which made it better. It made the match better. So I thought that was really fun. Lashley went for a spear. He missed it, ran into that table. Then he gets speared by Goldberg. Goldberg picks him up for the jackknife. And he hits him with a jackknife, but instead of pinning him,
he picks him up.
He wants to give him a little more. He takes off his gloves, like I'm a killer.
Which took him like half an hour to take off his gloves.
Yeah, one of the gloves did not want to come out, which whatever. But he
gotta wear the next size up, friend. Gotta wear the next size up.
After he takes his gloves out, he throws them to the outside. They do the Roman Reigns spot, which is the barricade spot. That Roman Reigns does at every WrestleMania for like 5 straight years.
Yep.
I'm shocked they let them do it, but good. That's good. Other people, look. This is
main event guys. You know what I'm saying? You can let them do that. If they were the opening match guys, I'd be saying that's something different. But those are main event level guys. So yeah, that's a big spot for the two of them.
So the Roman Reigns spot. Then finally, Goldberg's gonna murder. He's gonna murder Lashley. He grabs the stairs. He's gonna make sure that Lashley's head pops under these stairs because he's gonna smash his head with the stairs, but he misses. Right, so Lashley makes a run for it. Then we get the Hurt Business with kendo sticks, and not for long because right away Goldberg gets rid of them like they don't exist. And another cool spot, I always like seeing this. When I see it, this is it's being done. You see it a couple times a year here and there at big shows. 2 guys on the ramp with each one with a weapon, like a duel. Like, okay, now we're gonna go for it. So I thought that was a cool little thing, especially for a Goldberg match. Like, what? Some creativity here. All right, I loved it. I popped for that. So they both got the kendo sticks. Whatever, they fight on the top, and then the final spot is a spear off of the stage. So big spear off the stage, and it's over. And Goldberg walks out, hugs the kids, and he got what he wanted. He beat Lashley's ass. I think, normally I'm pissed when Goldberg or part-timers come and beat guys up, but you also need the good guy to win every now and then. Like, this was a feel-good show. That's why I liked it. It wasn't just, the heel got to get heat. The heel got to get heat. Don't worry about it. No, it was a feel-good show. There was a lot of feel-good moments. And I think for the fans in attendance, they liked that Goldberg won and the hero left, celebrated with the fans. They had a good match. I think everyone was happy.
Yeah, I mean, this match was exactly what I thought it would be, and even a little bit more. The reality is that when I see somebody like Bill Goldberg, I know his matches are going to be generally short. They're going to be smash mouth matches. They're going to be, little wrestling in Goldberg matches. When they made this match no holds barred, I was like, okay, that's fine. When they made it falls count anywhere, I'm sure the gimmick was done that way because of the fact that they didn't want the match to end in the ring. More so than anything else was to protect Bobby Lashley. Because if you have Lashley get, spear, jackhammer 1, 2, 3, seems a little bit much. You don't want to beat Lashley that way. The reality is that Goldberg had to go over in this for a couple of reasons. Number one is because you've already kind of told the arc of the story. This was basically designed to be the blow off. there is going to be no more Lashley versus Goldberg. This is it. I think that this match is designed to, send Goldberg back out, have him go away again. And then Bobby Lashley with the Hurt Business can come back on Raw, and they can just kind of get their heat back by just, raving and pillaging everything in their path. And the reality is that a guy like Bobby Lashley, the next thing for Lashley is going to be rematching with Big E. So there's a natural progression there that allows for for Lashley to lose and not get killed in the match from a booking perspective. The fact that Goldberg had to spear Lashley off a 10-foot stage to the concrete floor through 2 tables and a crash pad, 1, 2, 3, and then on top of that, after it was all said and done, and Goldberg walked and was hugging the kids and everything, the camera, at the end of the day, the person that was the focus was Bobby Lashley, because at the end, what did they do? The camera panned to Bobby Lashley standing, and he looked worse for wear, but he was on his feet and he walked away. So basically what the WWE is telling us is, Lashley got beat, but he wasn't killed. Come Monday Night Raw this week, Bobby Lashley's going to be right back on camera, and he's going to be right back in the top position. So ultimately, all of this was done correctly, was booked correctly. When I don't think we're going to be seeing Goldberg anytime soon. He's going to be done with WWE until he comes back again. Now with Bobby Lashley and the Hurt Business, we move them on to their next piece of business, which I'm presuming it's going to be Big E in the WWE title, but there's going to be, who knows how they book them. But again, well done. It was entertaining, because it really was. The commentators did a good job of telling the story. The only thing I wish would have happened is that maybe Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin would have gotten a little bit of offense in on Goldberg, just a little bit, to kind of give Bobby Lashley a little bit of a respite, knowing that he was getting his ass whipped, and get a little bit of a break. And then Goldberg, makes the comeback, even though they were on the ramp. So it's a little bit more difficult because you can't do as many spots on the ramp without the possibility of somebody getting hurt. But other than that, it was good. I enjoyed it.
All right. I got the list.
And I'm sorry. I just have one more thing. I have one more thing to say. I started in the beginning of the match, and I literally yelled when I saw this. If this was actually pretty bad. This is the only thing about the Goldberg match that I didn't like. When Bobby Lashley put the chain and he wrapped it around his fist and he hit Goldberg with it in the beginning, you mean to tell me you get punched by a guy 265 pounds with a chain in his hand and your ass ain't knocked out? Come on now. Just saying.
Maybe he didn't get a clean one.
Anyway, I'm not even going.
All right.
That's nitpick.
So far, based on what we spoke about, the matches we spoke about, Tyson Kidd looks like he did the triple threat with the ladies. It looks like Jason Jordan did the Lashley Goldberg, and it looks like Adam Pearce did the King of the Ring match. So I'll announce who did the rest as we.
Good job, WWE producers. Very well done.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. So let's go to a match that wasn't as eventful. Queen's Crown. Doudrop versus Zelina. Nothing special here. Zelina's going to go on to win with a code red. The announcer seemed shocked that she could hit a code red, even though she does it every match.
Against somebody who's 3 times her size. Yeah, it's a little surprising.
Well, I guess. Doudrop, who's supposed to be the better worker here, was so focused on her damn hair. Did you notice this?
It's part of her gimmick. I mean,
no, she's on the floor when she's about to sell. She stops selling and goes, "Fuck my hair," and has to okay.
I think that she's concerned with the camera seeing her face and the hair's getting in the way. But you got to do that naturally. You got to be able to get to your spot.
Literally would do this.
Yeah, that's not good.
And back to selling. I was like, they weren't given a lot of time. Zelina's going to go on to win. I'm sure she's going to have fun similar to, and she's a heel, so she can really rub it in. She can really piss people off. Hopefully they get a new star out of this. I don't know. They could have easily got a new star when they re-debuted her if, they treated her like a star. I know you wouldn't do that, but me personally, if we're going to do something, if she's going to be a wrestler, I would try to make her as big a star as possible. That's just me. That's how I would treat all my wrestlers. I would at least try. If it doesn't work, it don't work, and then we move on to the next person. And if we were gonna, I know they didn't know that she was gonna win this match. I'm sure they don't plan that far in advance. But they clearly see something in her. If they, they gave her this little something to play with. So, they could have easily made her a big star. This would have felt like a big deal. Just like, what's her name? Why did I forget her name? Who's this?
I want to help you out, but
manager. I mean the general manager, women.
Oh, you're talking about Sonya Deville.
Yeah, Sonya Deville. We could have did so much with her if we were gonna have her wrestling at the peak heat that she was getting when she was shitting on Liv Morgan,
and now Naomi. Yep.
Yeah, we could have pulled the trigger. We could have did something cool with her, but now she's just gonna be another girl. I mean, they still might do something cool with her because I do like the pairing that they're doing. Well, I mean, but anyway, we'll see what happens. Like I said, nothing crazy here, nothing groundbreaking. This was kind of a throwaway match, but
I mean,
but it was fine.
I'm gonna say this. I mean, the reality is that this event as a whole was actually it had a lot of pluses, right? Because I'm not gonna get too deep into the culture of the Saudi Arabian culture because I don't really know it as much. I know it peripherally, but I don't know it deep end type deal. But for the most part, women have not really had opportunities in that culture to be featured or to be anything more than what they've been perceived to be. And what's groundbreaking about this particular event is that in the past, WWE had to kind of negotiate to have the women wrestlers be featured on the show. I believe the first Crown Jewel event, there was no women's matches. Then I think they had the very first one where it was Natalia against Lacey Evans. In this event, you had 2 women's matches, and then you had a female referee, officiate one of the main event matches on the show. So it's a groundbreaking event for women, and that's a huge positive for this event. Not necessarily for the North Americans, who it's normal for us, but maybe for the Saudi culture, it's a big deal for them. Now, in this particular match, again, I'm going to have the same criticism of this that I had with the King of the Ring tournament. Realistically, the Queen's Crown, if you're going to have Zelina Vega go over on anybody, the opponent needed to be Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan is over as a babyface. They're much more similarly sized, and you can have better stories. With all due respect to Doudrop, Piper Niven, I think she's a very good wrestler. And on NXT UK, she was a killer. She was a badass. Now on WWE, US mainland television, she's portraying a different gimmick in the Doudrop gimmick, and it's a little more lighthearted and not as intense of a gimmick as when she was Piper Niven on NXT UK. But at the end of the day, when you see the match, you see Doudrop against Zelina Vega, it is a mismatch every day of the week. Am I okay with Zelina Vega winning? Yes, I'm fine with it. I really don't care who would have won because, again, the tournament was laid out really, really poorly. So whoever won was going to be an insignificant thing. Do I think that Zelina Vega, she's going to be in the same category as Xavier Woods, somebody who's going to take this gimmick and have a lot of fun with it and do really good things with it? The fact that Xavier's a babyface and Zelina's a heel works out really well because you have balance on both sides. But I honestly think that the finish of the match was actually, I would have not done that finish because, and I say this with all due respect, there should be no way that Zelina Vega at 5 feet tall and 100 pounds should be able to do a cold red on Piper Niven. Doudrop. Like, though there's certain things where you have to suspend a certain amount of disbelief. That is a break of that. The way that Zelina Vega needed to win this match was Doudrop needed to make a mistake where she goes for a big move, she misses, and Zelina cheats. Because she has to be able to cheat because she's the heel and she is exponentially smaller. So it does not make any sense in that regard. I didn't like this match that much because of the fact that I know that this match we're not going to see it again. Because Zelina Vega, I believe, is on SmackDown and Doudrop is on Raw, or vice versa. But we're not going to get a rematch. They're not going to wrestle each other anymore. This is the reason why I would have preferred a Liv Morgan or another babyface similarly sized who are going to be able to work with Zelina Vega more so in the future. This match, again, was a match for the sake of having a match. It was, for what it was fine. Both ladies did a good job. It's just a matter that I would have laid out the match a whole lot differently to get to the result that we got to.
All right. Drew McIntyre versus Big E. All right. This was another really good match. Yeah. If we're talking just pure work right here, this might be the match of the night. It wasn't my match of the night, but if we're talking just work rate alone, no bullshit on the outside, no cages, no weapons. I thought they really killed it. They went full throttle, 100 miles an hour. But they do have the WWE, which WWE figured out, I guess, with, I don't know when they really started doing the whole. It's like a Lesnar match now, where it's like we're gonna hit each other with our biggest moves. We're gonna kick out of everything. It's like a Lesnar thing, but they do it with all their big guys now, which is it's a fun style. So, whatever. But all right, let's go to what happened in the match. All right, so late in the match, McIntyre goes for a Claymore. Big E drops down so fast. It was like the craziest, most athletic thing I've ever seen. It was so crazy. But yeah, he misses the Claymore. You see Big E kind of goes down.
Yeah, McIntyre flew 3/4 of the way across the ring.
Yeah, McIntyre flies across the ring like a cartoon character. It was crazy. And then they do another cool spot right after where, because he misses, he kind of rolls towards the outside. And if you know, when somebody's outside the ropes, Big E hits that big spear always, which is a nasty move that he has in his arsenal. So they set it up perfectly. You could see it coming. But McIntyre, 100 miles an hour, gets in the ring, cuts him off, Claymore, boom! 1, 2, kick out. I was like, what? That would have been such a fire finish. But yeah, kick out. And Drew did kick out of the big ending earlier in the match, so this was like a little payback. And right after that, so I guess Drew, it looks, I don't know if he was gonna go for it, but it looks like he's gonna go for the big ending, because he kind of puts him up and holds him like the big ending. But Big E sneaks out the back,
picks him back up, bam, hits it again.
Pushes him. He goes to the rope. He ducks under the clothesline, does a crazy tilt-a-whirl, which usually goes for a deep, like when you're going for like a tilt-a-whirl, like DDT type thing, or a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker type thing. But Big E just holds him up and then brings him up a little higher, hits the big ending. 1, 2, 3. So that whole sequence was crazy. A lot of fun. Obviously, I wouldn't take the title off Big E anytime soon. So I do like that Big E is champ. I don't I think the title is making the man right now, so I think they have to catch up and get him some victories, right? And build him up so that it feels like he is the real champ, whatever. But this is how they're gonna do it. It looks like he beat him. He'll probably, like you said, he'll probably go into a feud with Lashley and beat Lashley again. And I don't know who's gonna beat Big E, which is a good thing. I don't know when this thing comes to an end, so there's plenty of time. Maybe he'll get a WrestleMania. You know, who knows? Maybe maybe he can carry this to Mania and get a big match there against somebody. We'll see, but good for him because that's a really, really good match. It might be. I can't think of a better singles match from Big E.
Yeah. I mean, I can concur with that. I mean, this is a match where it's so weird because I agree with what you're saying about Big E in terms of being the champion. I like Big E a lot. And I mean, I was here, earlier this year around WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble, talking about how I would have liked Big E to win and then chase after the title. You know, he had the Money in the Bank briefcase, and the way that he cashed it in, not my favorite way to do it. I think it would have done him more wonders, would have done more for him if he is the Money in the Bank winner and he was able to come in and be the enforcer during the period where Kofi Kingston was challenging Lashley, and then Lashley just broke him in half. And then Woods stands up for Kofi and Lashley breaks him in half. And then you'd have Lashley, Cedric Alexander, Shelton Benjamin, and MVP, and although he's recovering from knee surgery, so, best wishes go out to MVP. Get well soon, man. And to have them, basically the Hurt Business, beat up on the New Day 4-on-2, and then all of a sudden that the big man needs to show up, and then the big man shows up with the briefcase because he's the Money in the Bank winner, cleans house, basically reestablishes himself that, all right, as long as this is happening, I'm going to be on Raw every week. No matter if I'm a SmackDown guy, it doesn't matter. I'm going to show up every week on Raw and I'm going to be ready to fight. And then he basically lays down the briefcase right in front of Lashley and says, all right, big man, here's the time, here's the place. I'm not sneaking in on you. I'm not going to do it after you wrestled, I believe it was Randy Orton. No, we're not doing it that way. And then he beats him. And then Big E has a one-on-one main event match with Lashley, either on a pay-per-view or a Raw taping, whatever. But it's a match that's announced and Lashley knows it's coming, and E beats him. Because it establishes E as like a big, the big babyface hero that beat the monster Lashley. When they booked it to have E win the way he did, what it does is it leaves a bit of doubt. And I understand that they're trying to protect Lashley, but the thing is that Lashley's in a much better spot where if he would have lost to Big E in a one-on-one match, you're not killing him. Because if you've done such a great job of protecting Lashley over the last year, that now you're trying to make Big E. So the moment has to be, pardon the pun, it has to be a bigger moment for Big E, so that when he wins the title, it means more for him. So that we're not in the place where you're saying that the title's making a man and we gotta get him caught up. With this individual match, I thought it was actually a very good match. It was actually better than I expected because I know what I'm getting out of Drew McIntyre. I know that when Drew McIntyre steps into the ring, all of his matches are going to be really, really good. The thing is with Big E is that although I know that he has the talent, he's got the size, he's got the look, he's got the charisma, he's got all of that, but I've yet to see him piece it together, or better said, very rarely have I had the opportunity to see Big E in a one-on-one scenario where he's put in a situation where he has to be the man. Not the guy who's working with the star, but him actually being the star. And I think in this scenario, Drew McIntyre was quote unquote the star that Big E's working with. and Big E beating him, I knew that was going to be more or less a foregone conclusion because of the fact that McIntyre is moving to SmackDown. And since the WWE title staying on Raw, it makes sense for Big E to win and keep the belt. The match was really good. It was a very, very good match. It was hard hitting. It was 15 minutes of just the whole time. There was no let up by either guy. I think that when I see McIntyre, I will say this with Drew McIntyre. Although he's fantastic, and I got nothing, he can do no wrong in my world. However, when I'm seeing him as of late, I think that he's losing a little something. And I think that hopefully the move to SmackDown will reestablish him, because I truly believe that if there's going to be anybody who's going to beat Roman Reigns right now in the WWE roster, it's Drew McIntyre. And if McIntyre is going to do it, McIntyre has to reestablish that fire, that whatever that was that he had back at WrestleMania a year and a half ago when he beat Lesnar and when he had that whole big run. Although it was in front of no fans, which is unfortunate for everybody, including Drew specifically. But there's something about what he's doing right now that, although he's still doing great work, there's something that's kind of missing. And it's minor. It's not anything crazy. But when I saw the match, I was like, I can believe that Drew McIntyre needs to kind of be slightly rehabbed, because it looks like he's missing something, because he was like neck and neck. It was like Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre. He was in like that 1A or 2 position. But now it seems like he's kind of falling a little bit below, to where he might be falling in the realm of, quote unquote, the others. And as talented as they are, I think that Drew McIntyre had done a tremendous job over the last year and a half to break away from the pack. And I don't want him to be brought back down with the pack. I want him to stay in that top level, because if there's anybody that I believe is going to beat Roman Reigns, it's going to be Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, and we'll move on here, but I do agree that he's losing something, but I don't think it's him. I think it's just WWE. I'm not going to be too hard on WWE. Like, this event was probably their best event that they've done this year. So they figured out a way to get 4 great matches on the card. And I felt like the other matches were sacrificed in order to do that. But maybe next time they can get 5 great matches and pull it off. And then eventually they can get full cards where most of the card is just great. And you got to get everyone over in order to do that, because if you can have a good match and if they're not over, it might not work.
It means less.
Yeah, so it's harder. It's harder to have a great match when nobody's over in the match. But they showed great signs today. So here's another thing they need to work on. It's easy to get people to care when people are when people are champions, right? We present you as the champion. You're the top person in the company or the brand. And we know how to tell the people to care. You're in the most important storylines. You're always featured. You're coming out 3 or 4 times per episode. We get it. So Drew is a guy who, because he's a top guy, he's going to keep fighting for the title. But because we've established the people who are going to be champs for the next, maybe, who knows how long it might be. It could be a year. So he's going to fight for titles and lose. And now what do you do? And that's where WWE has to get better. Can we make guys interesting when they're not chasing for the title? Can we find meaningful things for Drew McIntyre to do so that we don't think that he's going cold, he's getting colder, or he's losing his edge, or whatever it is? You know, they used to be able to do this. They used to be able to get everyone something important to do. So if they can just get something cool for him to do, give him a cool matchup that we can get invested in, and they have to keep doing it until he finally gets one of the titles. You know, hopefully he does beat Roman. I would love to see that. I think it's the right, once Roman is done with his run, I think he is the right guy. I think he's perfect for that. And then they got to find out what to do with Roman after that.
I mean, I think after, I mean, my suggestion would be after that is, as crazy as it sounds, it would be to have Roman Reigns go away, even for a little while.
Yeah, even if it's a month.
Yeah, even if it's a little while. And the only reason why is because when you've been, I mean, Roman Reigns has been in the top spot pretty much since he came back last year. He's pretty much, right from when he showed up, he was in the top spot. So it's not a matter that he's getting cold, because he's certainly not. But whenever it's his time to drop the title, it might be best to kind of get him out of the top, get him out of there for even if it's for a cup of coffee, but just to get him out of there, because you want to be able to give the new champion a chance to establish new challengers. And sometimes with a guy like Roman Reigns, he's so over that if let's say potentially a Drew McIntyre beats him, it almost feels like if Roman Reigns is still going to be featured every week on television, then that's the only match that makes sense to have. And if you put anybody else with McIntyre, whoever the champion is who beats Roman Reigns, and if Roman Reigns is available, it almost seems like you're telling the audience, well, this match is less than, because at the end of the day, this is the match that we're going to present you, because the rematch is imminent and everything else is rendered somewhat meaningless. We know that the rematch is coming, and it's something that when the time comes, we'll present it, and we'll make it worth your while to watch it. But in the interim, you want to be able to help establish other stars, because that's how you make the roster more well-rounded and much healthier, so that there are more options, and that the fans feel better about all the performers that are on the show, all the wrestlers, because everybody deserves a chance to get over.
Okay. Ali versus Mansoor. Quick thoughts on this. It was a solid match. I have no problem with anything that happened in the match. Mansoor, considering he doesn't work that often. I mean, maybe he does. Maybe he does some other stuff. I don't know. I don't see him ever. I don't know where he's working. But
yeah, he's on Raw. That's why nobody's watching Raw.
has he been, well, besides the stuff he's doing with before that, was he? That's pretty much his first run, right?
No, I mean, he was on 205 Live. That's
So I'm not watching 205. All right. Damn, I feel like this was a perfect team. I'm really sad that they broke them up. I get it. They built up to this story, but he could have beat anyone on this show. I kind of wish they would have kept them together, but that's fine. It's not, I mean, WWE doesn't have any tag teams. That's my thing. It's like, they don't have a lot of tag teams. They keep breaking all the tag teams up, or they're,
well,
I know they think about it. They don't like tag team wrestling in WWE, I guess, but
yeah,
I mean, it's not a big deal. These guys are not gonna, change the landscape of tag team wrestling. But my concern is that now that this feud is over, I would not be shocked if Ali is fired within the next 3 months. There's nothing for him. Why is he a heel? He should not be a heel. He should be a babyface. He should have never been a heel. I mean, I hope they like him a lot, and hopefully he keeps his job. I don't want him to get fired, but I just don't see. There's nothing for him. He's small, which is not a problem for me, but based on the new direction that Vince wants to take, where he wants bigger guys and guys who work, the WWE style or whatever. I don't know if there's going to be a place for him. That's my concern. So they got him to this point. Obviously, Mansoor was going to get the win. He's going to be the hometown hero. It was a feel-good moment. And like I said, this show felt like a very good make the fans happy type show, which is send the fans home happy. I'm cool with that 1,000%. They don't do that enough. And how crazy was those fans? That was not a casual audience.
I will say this. The one thing about the WWE and this in general, I think that this is probably a general statement that I could probably be able to make for any North American wrestling company that does shows internationally. This show that WWE did, Crown Jewel, was a very good show, but it was tremendously helped by a very, very receptive audience. They showed up and they wanted to like everything they saw. And yes, the show as a whole was actually very good. But if you would have taken that exact same show in front of an American audience, you would not have gotten the same reception on a lot of the things that happened on that show as they did in Riyadh, in Saudi Arabia. With Mansoor and Mustafa Ali, do I think that the tag team is going to be broken up permanently? The answer is no. I honestly think this is what I think is going to end up happening. I think that the reason why they did this match was they wanted to obviously they want to have Mansoor on this show to feature a native Saudi in a Saudi Arabia show. Every single time that in Saudi Arabia, Mansoor has always been on the show. And if for Mansoor, who has been featured on the WWE programming in the United States as a tag team with Mustafa Ali, it makes sense that that would be his natural opponent if it's going to be a singles match. Do I think that that Mustafa Ali is going to be fired? Absolutely not. Mustafa Ali is going to be fine in the WWE. I don't think he's going anywhere. The match, the one thing that I will say about this match, and I really actually like this match a lot more than I thought I would. The one thing that I looked up and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, Mansoor has improved exponentially from the time he first started to where he was in this match. His facials, his selling. I mean, when there was one point where he got hit with a move by Mustafa Ali and his eyes are rolling in the back of his head and he looked like he was knocked out. And I'm looking at it and saying, this is brilliant. This is brilliant because that's how you sell. When you get hit with a big move, that's how you're supposed to react. You're supposed to react like it hurts and that it knocked you silly. And it was so well done. Mansoor was over like a god with the Saudi audience, and that's great. I think what will end up happening with Mustafa Ali and Mansoor is that they're going to be on SmackDown. They're going to wrestle against each other. This is going to continue being a one-on-one rivalry. I think what's going to happen is that at some point, Mansoor is going to earn Mustafa Ali's respect. And when he does, Mansoor is going to get put in a situation where he's going to be outnumbered 2-1, 3-1, whatever it might be. And the person that's going to save his bacon is going to be Mustafa Ali. And the tag team will get put back together. And that's where I think this is going to go, because I think that Mustafa Ali, putting him in the tag team with Mansoor initially seemed like oil and water because of the fact that, you know, Mustafa Ali was put in a really bad position with the Retribution folks. That was just not good. And then once that was over, Mustafa Ali still continued working as a heel, and then he got paired in a tag team with a clear-cut white meat babyface who was just doughy-eyed and happy to be there. Well, at some point, that tag team just seemed like, all right, this is a goofy, buddy tag team type thing. And it has to mature to a certain degree in order for us to take them seriously. The match in Riyadh, obviously, to have two Muslim wrestlers, that's a big deal in ways that maybe for us as the North American audience, we may not care about. But for them, I'm sure for Mustafa Ali and for Mansoor and for the audience, it's a big deal for them. So I think that's something that we tip our cap, we respect them for it. But do I think that these guys are going to be broken up and they're going to be single stars? Absolutely not. I think that they will continue to rival, and at some point the tag team will come back together, because in all honesty, with the dearth of the lack of tag teams that the WWE has, this is actually a tag team that can work and can be the champions and actually have a very good run as tag team champions. But I think that they need to mature, and I think the way that they're going to mature as a team, particularly Mansoor with the American audiences, have him work one-on-one against Mustafa Ali. And then they trade wins back and forth. It's not meant to be a rivalry that is one-sided, but eventually it's meant for them to earn each other's respect in a different way to where they become tag team champions later on down the road.
All right. I'd like to see that. All right. Hold on to your horses. This was probably my favorite match of the night. Edge versus Seth Rollins. Hell in a Cell. I guess my only complaint is, why is everything Edge does like, it's like he wants it to be like the most serious rivalry of all time. I don't know. Is he gonna do that with every rivalry? Is he only doing like super serious, super personal rivalry? I mean, I guess that if that's his role in the company, that's actually not a bad idea. That could be his job. That's his role.
Let's put it like this. Edge at this point, and I'm going to be real honest with you. Edge at this point is a grown man in every sense of the word. And I think that if this is going to be his last major run, he's going to do all the serious stuff. And I think that at some point, because I truly believe that at some point, you might see the more lighthearted, goofy side of Edge. This is where I think it's an unfortunate deal that Christian is not in the WWE with him being in AEW, because at some point you could have put the two of them back together as a tag team, nostalgia act type thing, and then have them do some of the more lighthearted, goofy stuff that they would do. But with Edge as a singles, especially his physical look, the way he looks, the way he's presented, he can't do the goofy shit. That will not work.
But I'm not asking for goofy. I'm saying everything he's done so far since his return has been not a regular feud. It's like
that's like a blood feud. Yeah, it's like a blood feud.
Only doing blood feuds exclusively so far.
And they've been great. They've been great. Randy Orton one, you can.
He's only done a couple. He's like 50%. But it could have been great, but they let it go on too long, and there was some weird stuff in between. If you take the greatest hits, it is great. If you take the greatest hits. Now this one, I think it's very clear that it's over. If they end it right here, it was great.
I think so.
They just need to please end it. Please just end it. It just end it. Please.
There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go after this.
Yes. All right. I gotta do some research and find out if Edge's outfit meant anything, because I know Edge is an Easter egg guy. He likes to give little clues and stuff. His outfits are usually inspired by something, or they have a meaning.
Yeah, man. That's the whole outfit. That's the Brood gimmick.
Well, he was wearing burgundy and yellow, so I wouldn't say that was Brood.
Well, what I mean by that is if you see the Brood's entrance, it's just like that's what I'm talking about. It's like that entrance, with the fire and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's really what I'm talking about.
All right, so let's go to some of the parts of this match. Let's see. What do I remember? Edge introduced the chair early, and he, what I like? Why I like this match so much? It's like, it was really like they thought about this. They cared about this match. They really, really sat their asses down and structured it. Like you could see it. You could see the picture they were painting. It was like very clear. Like I really, really enjoyed this. But anyway, so he introduces the chair, and he does, he wants to use that damn stick thing that when he kicks it out of the chair to use it around Seth's mouth, whatever.
And you figured that they would get chairs with that little piece reinforced, man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh no, we need the special Edge chair where you can.
Man, no kidding.
I also he's gonna shove that thing in your mouth if he can't get it off the chair. I like when he does it. I think it's pretty cool. And right away, Seth is going after Edge's eye. So he goes after the eye early, but doesn't get him. So again, everything is building and leading to something else. Seth is the first to use the chair. Edge has a crossface, and from that crossface position is where Seth is able to get his hand on that thing, part of the chair, and sticks Edge in the eye. Seth goes on to hit an unprettier, and this is why I say this was a hardcore audience. They popped huge for the unprettier. I doubt it's because it's a cool looking move. They know what that move was, and they know what that move meant. Just like who did the Three Amigos?
Sasha Banks.
Sasha did it, and they started, Eddie. So we had a hardcore audience here. It was pretty cool. So yes, he hits the unprettier. Big pop. I love that spot. Then a little later on, there's a table outside, and Seth is gonna go through it, and it was a nasty bump. How did they get that bump? How did he throw him? Was that like a back body?
Apparently, Rollins was perched on the top rope, and he had his back to Edge. Edge basically pushed him off the top rope. He bounced off the cage and then
Bounced into. That was so cool. Yeah, see,
that was scary too, man. I mean, I'm sure Seth knows how to take the bump, but damn, I mean, that looks
scary. But look, for me, I'm watching it like a fan. I'm watching it like I watch movies. And when you do a bump like that, you're gonna get me to get off my seat and get closer to the TV. Like, oh shit, what is going on? This is serious. And that was a dangerous bump. It was a unique bump that you don't see often. It made the match feel big. It made the match feel special. So shout out to them.
Guys can get hurt doing that. So
guys can get hurt, but I'm not judging whether or not guys can get hurt. I'm here to watch a show and enjoy the show. And whatever they put on the television, that's what I'm not gonna go, oh, he could have got hurt, so I'm gonna take away points. No, he gets bonus points for the super cool bump. Yeah, so the big bump. Then they set up the steps, and we get the Edge-O-Matic, which that looked like it was gonna be dangerous too, like for Edge's own butt. You know, he could have landed weird and sat on part of the steps that he don't want.
Yeah, I mean, it's listen, the bump is gonna hurt for both guys. Rollins, I mean, obviously Edge is willing to take the edge of a stair on his ass to make sure that Rollins doesn't crack the back of his head on the edge of the steps. So, you know, yeah, it's a dangerous bump for both guys, but you know, it was done as safely as possible. I'm sure both guys felt it, but nobody really, you know, got terribly hurt doing that spot.
All right, Rollins hits a pedigree. We get a super cool spot by Edge. Buckle bomb, which is obviously Seth's move, into a spear. 1, 2, kick out. Super cool spot. Another unique one, and another, you know, storytelling little moment there where I'm gonna use your own shit against you. And make it better if you ask me, because he added a spear with it. So, you know,
I mean, it should have ended the match right there, but
hey, this is the biggest show of the year, brother.
I guess.
For us, of course, it's not the biggest show of the year, but I guess financially, it is the biggest show of the year.
I'm sure it is,
and it's not close.
Yeah, I don't doubt that at all.
I mean, they it felt like almost like a WrestleMania, like close.
Yeah, they were certainly aiming for that. That's for sure.
Yeah. What else did we get? You get the big spear, the kick out. Edge introduces the ladder, but yeah, he's gonna pay for that, right? Because what did he do to him? Oh, like he did that sunset bomb type.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the sunset bomb.
That was gross in a good way. 1, 2, kick out. Then the good stuff. Rollins introduces a chain similar to Lashley. So people had access to chains in Saudi Arabia. Rollins
they're just hanging out under the ring. We got chairs, tables, kendo sticks, ladders, and chains.
And chains, baby. So we get the chain. Rollins ties it around his foot, and he actually gets it to stay there, which is not easy to do.
Super kick. Give him a
super kick that was super stiff. They show the replay. He gets his whole face all mushy. He blasts him with a super kick. He
chains and all. Bam.
Yeah, he goes to set up the chair, right? Then he goes for the curb stomp?
He was going to go for the curb stomp on the chair.
Edge, but he missed, right?
No, Edge pulled up the chair and crushed him with it.
Yes, Edge gets the chair, hits him with it. Oh, yes, and he actually catches him in the nuts.
Correct. He crotched him with the chair.
He kind of does like that was a cool spot too.
Yeah, he stood the chair up.
He kind of picks the chair up and he gets caught in the nuts, and then we get a super kick party. There were 20 super kicks in this match.
I'm sure the Young Bucks appreciated that.
I'm sure the Young Bucks love this. Because even Edge was hitting super kicks.
Yeah, that's completely
completely
not in his arsenal, but he
look
pulled
good.
them out. You pulled them out.
It looked good.
He did it.
Good. Then of course, he grabs the chain, takes it off of Rollins' foot, gets it around his mouth like he always does. He goes and grabs a wrench. He puts it around his mouth, and then he kind of does the Edge thinking, and he grabs the chair, puts it under Seth, and does the curb stomp on the chair
with the chain on his foot.
With the chain, just like Seth was gonna do to him. This match was pieced together beautifully. I love this match. I really, really enjoyed this match. I'm gonna watch it again to make sure. This match is up there for me, especially for singles matches in both guys' career. They're up there. This match was up there. It was put together for my type. This is what I like to see when you kind of see everything flowing together, big bumps, big spots, cool things, cool psychology, creativity. It was clean, like everything just worked. I really enjoyed this match. And like I said, it's another feel good. It's okay that Edge wins this. He's the baby face. Seth drove him crazy. He kind of had it coming. So it's okay that Edge won this match. I'm cool with it. Love this match.
Yeah, I mean, my only concern is that with both guys going to Raw, I hope that we don't see any more interactions with them because, in all honesty, this should have been the blow-off. But
this is the blow-off. Leave it.
The reality. Listen, this match was great, and obviously the way that this show was laid out, this match had to go on first, because it's either this match has to go on first or last. There's no in between. So the only criticism, and again, I'm not going to repeat all the things you just said. I think that my only criticism of this match, and it's a criticism that I have of WWE's philosophy with cage matches. Number one, if you're going to be in a Hell in the Cell match, use the cage more. Number one, please use the cage more. I think that with all the the ladders and the tables and the chairs and the kendo sticks and the chains and all this other stuff, it's just putting a hat on top of a hat. The cage is really the gimmick, and I think that the cage needs to be used more as a weapon in the match. It just feels like it's there to kind of contain the match, but it's not being used. And I think that it would be best to have the cage be used more. Number two, shout out to Jessica Carr being the referee in this match. She did a really good job. I was going to criticize having her in the match because I feel that in a match of this magnitude, when you're going to have two guys that in theory hate each other, I don't think that you'd want to put a woman in harm's way. But I understood the significance of it to the audience, in Saudi Arabia, to see a woman in the ring as the referee in one of the main event matches. So I understood it and I let that one be. Number three, it would be, and I know WWE is against using blood and I understand why, but in a match like this, it's okay to have juice. It's okay to bleed. This is a blow-off match where two guys who've been fighting with each other. They have been, I mean, think about it. When Seth Rollins had the segment where he went to Edge's home, he literally went inside Edge's home, even though the house was empty. Like, you'd figure in a situation like that, any man would want, you're not going to be satisfied until you see the other guy laid out in a very serious way. So those are just minor criticisms of the match, that it's in general for the WWE in terms of these types of matches. If you're going to have these big Hell in the Cell cage matches, use the cage more and let the guys bleed. I get it. It can be done in a controlled fashion, but it adds an element to the match that, although this was great, don't get me wrong, it was a fantastic match. But when you use all of those weapons and all the things that they used and nobody gets gigged up, leaves a little, you got to suspend your disbelief. Doesn't make it look real. Just saying.
Yes, and I agree with you. I 1,000% agree with you. If they would have had the aspect right there of blood, it would have put this in another stratosphere. But
Yes,
unfortunately, the wrestlers can't do anything about that.
No, that's
unless they had the balls that Bret Hart had and said, "Don't worry, I'll take the heat for it."
I guess. I mean, yeah, it's a real catch-22, because this is one of those moments where realistically it calls for it. And I know that they have some hard rules about blood and everything, and I get it. Part of it is, is aesthetics of being a publicly traded company. Others is, for the health of the wrestlers. I understand, but sometimes you got to take one for the team in the art form. So that's all. Minor stuff, but at the end of the day, it does add on. And again, shout out to Jessica Carr. She did a very good job.
All right. AJ and Omos versus RK Bro. And Riddle came out on a camel.
It took him forever to get on that damn camel. He left Randy Orton out there on the stage for what felt like 20 minutes, just looking at the screen like, when is he coming out?
All I know, it created a moment that I will never forget, and you have to create moments. It was funny. It didn't hurt anyone. The camel did a great job. That camel was cool under the bright lights.
That's right. That camel knew what was up.
That camel was not phased. He must have got paid a pretty penny for that spot right there. But yeah, that camel was a complete pro. Took care of business. Got in and out.
Right. That's right.
And
he took care of Riddle. He took care of him.
Riddle was able to get off the camel, no problem. I was shocked. I was like, how is he gonna get off this thing? And Riddle right off, straight into the ring, no problem.
There you go.
Randy sold it nicely. Like, what is going on? Like, where is this guy? Why did he leave me? He didn't see a camel and gorilla when he walked out. But look, it's a fun moment. This match, there's not, to me, at least RK Bro is over. So as long as they are over, let's keep this going. We don't have to do the Orton kind of bullying Riddle, and that was a little, I didn't like that when they were doing it before. But now that they have everything, they're clicking on all cylinders. Everything is going well. Let's keep it going. Let's give them fun matches. Keep them together. There should be no rush here to break them up. Please don't break them up, unless for some reason they lose the steam and the fans are not behind them. Okay, but this is helping both guys. Orton gets to hang out with a younger guy who's over and cool, and Riddle gets to learn. And if there's any little things, any little old school things that Randy Orton wants to teach, and pass that knowledge on from all his experiences and all his years in the business, everyone is winning here. There's no rush, The match was what it was. There was nothing crazy, nothing groundbreaking in this match. It was a regular match. It was a Raw match with a camel. But the important thing is keep the belts on RK Bro, because they're actually over. It's not like we kept talking about earlier. There are not a lot of acts that are over. This is over. This is over everywhere they go. It's over. It's working. Let's keep it going. Let's keep them winning. Find them some cool opponents. Let's do something interesting here.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, the match in and of itself. And again, I think that the guys who are winning here are Matt Riddle and Omos. They're both winning in this regard. They're benefiting from the fact that they get to work in higher profile matches. I think that Riddle on his own would be in a much better spot than Omos would. But Omos has actually improved in leaps and bounds. Like he's much more comfortable out there doing the big man stuff. And tag teaming him with AJ has actually been a very good thing because Omos has been able to progress in a slower fashion and not get exposed for the things that he cannot do at this point, versus being in a position where he can have all of his strengths magnified, which is his size, his strength, the fact that he doesn't take bumps for anybody. He's a monster. Every time that he was in the ring, he basically had Riddle and Orton on their heels. There was never a real moment where Omos was ever in trouble. It always happened. The offense would happen when AJ got in the ring. AJ Styles and Randy Orton are two of the finest professional wrestlers in the world, in different ways, and they have strengths and weaknesses in different areas, but they're both fantastic talents. And to have them both in a tag team, where generally you would not ever imagine either one of those guys at this point in their career being in a tag team, because they're so well-established single stars in the industry, it's helping out Matt Riddle. And to your point, Riddle tag teaming with Orton helps Riddle out because it puts him in a higher profile situation, while in a certain degree preserving Randy Orton a little bit. He's been a single star there for 20 years. So you got to preserve Orton a little bit, even though he doesn't look the worst for wear, but just because he looks like $1 million doesn't mean he doesn't feel all the bumps. To be in a tag team, only have to take half as many bumps, and have Riddle, for the most part, Riddle taking, the majority of the bumps, when he's the babyface in peril. Same thing, kind of similar with AJ Styles. It's just a matter that with Omos is not ready yet to be, he'll never be the babyface in peril. That would be like Andre the Giant, being in that spot. It's not going to happen. But the match in and of itself was fine. RK Bro winning is the right thing, and you're absolutely right. The act is over. Keep it going as much as you can. I think with Omos and AJ, I don't necessarily know if I want to continue seeing them as a tag team as much as I want to see them stay together, but kind of pursue singles, and have Omos and AJ kind of pursue singles things while still being a unit, and seeing whether or not that might grant them a little more success. Because in all honesty, I like both of these teams for different reasons, but I'm getting a little tired of seeing them work against each other all the time. So it's something that we got to find either different opponents or different directions for both of these teams.
I agree. All right, let's move on to the main event. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Universal title. And before we move on, I will say this. Paul Heyman is a national treasure. This guy.
Hey, that's gimmick infringement, man.
I know there's
this national
treasure. But this guy is truly a treasure.
He is. Fantastic. He really is.
And I don't know. I'm sure he is always willing to help guys out and give advice. If you have this man's phone number, you need to be calling him, regardless of what company you work for. If you have access to him,
he'd be speed dial number 2.
Yes, call him.
Number 1 is obviously voicemail, and then number 2 would be Paul Lee.
When this guy he's easily one of the best minds, if not truly the best mind in the business. Like, I don't know if you caught this, but there were a few things that were so important, and there are Paul Heyman things that I feel like these things get overlooked by everyone. It doesn't matter how good you are. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, or I don't know if you can guess where I'm going with it.
Go ahead, just enlighten me, because let's see if I caught on.
Okay, there were 2 things that were to me were crazy, even though he does it all the time, and we should know what he's doing. But he's smart. So what's the story? The story is we don't know if Heyman really is on Roman's side. That's the story they've been telling us. So they've been giving us.
Which side is he on?
They've been giving us a bunch of little hints and clues. But what is said is not what's important necessarily, right? Not what's said by the announcers or whatever. You have to pay attention to Paul Heyman himself, because he is the true genius. And there was an interview, backstage interview. They asked, whatever. He's cutting his promo, da-da-da-da. And in that promo, he goes on to say, I'm going to be walking out with the Universal Champion.
He didn't say
I'm going to be walking out with Roman Reigns.
He didn't say who it was going to be. He just said he'd be walking with Roman Reigns, the Universal Champion, and then he'd be walking out with the Universal Champion. And he left that plainly stated.
Yes, he didn't. There was no. That could have meant anything, and that it's on purpose. He does this, and it's such a great detail. It's so important, and it makes it so much better, and it makes you wonder. Right? It makes you care. You're invested. Okay. Paul Heyman, the king of facials, if you ask me, right? He's the king of reactions. He does perfect reactions. Whenever he needs to give you a facial on the outside, he sells every moment. He's a salesman, right? He sells everything. In this match, he didn't sell a thing.
He was stoic the whole time.
He didn't sell anything. And if you saw his positioning, and it's a minor thing. People won't realize this, but watch the match back. When you see the hard camera side, you see Paul Lee standing right in the middle on the side of the hard camera where you're watching the match, and you see Paul Lee standing in the middle the entire time with little to no reaction. There were some times where he made a face here and there, but for the most part, he was very stoic. Yes, which is not like him.
Which is completely unlike him.
It's almost, it's crazy. It's like a movie. He's a big picture guy. Like, it's so fun. It's so fun to see this, to see him in action. And he's so cocky about it too. I just know he went backstage and he's like, and they're probably telling him, Paul, Jesus, that was so cool. He's like, you know what I do. You know how I do this.
and here's the thing, though, right? With a guy like Heyman, Heyman is so good at what he does, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons why he's such a gem for the WWE, because he's able to do this on camera. And mind you, for years when he was Brock Lesnar's advocate, and it was clear that Paul Lee was working primarily with Lesnar. I know that he had a run with CM Punk, and he had a run with others, with like Curtis Axel and Ryback, and a little bit with Cesaro. Those didn't work out, and it's not because of Paul Heyman. It was because Paul Lee was so much more established as a gimmick than any of those guys were at the time, that it was an anchor on those guys. With all due respect, it was an anchor on them, because on camera they just didn't fit together.
Well, also the company has to get behind the wrestler, no matter how.
Correct.
There's nothing Paul can do if.
But what ends up happening is that when you think of Brock Lesnar and when you think of Roman Reigns, minus Heyman, you think of them as main event top guys. With Heyman in the corner, it only amplifies what they already have, which is top dollar main event talents. With all due respect to the others. And I mean, CM Punk was in the same spot. So I'm not, CM Punk was in that same spot. But the difference was that Punk didn't really need Heyman to cut his promo. CM Punk is very, very adept on the mic. He doesn't need a promo guy. Lesnar did. That was Heyman's primary role with Lesnar on television, was to be his advocate and to speak on his behalf. He kind of does it with Roman Reigns, but it's in a different thing, because really what Paulie does is that he's clearly subservient to Roman Reigns. Roman, he's clearly scared of him. He's clearly, the little coward in the corner, saying, yes, my tribal chief. Yes, my tribal chief. So it would almost lend itself to believe that Paulie would turn on him and side with Lesnar. But if Lesnar's being the babyface, again, it kind of works the way that they set this match up, because in all honesty, although Brock Lesnar is the babyface in this situation, there's little to no moments where you as an audience member are ever going to feel sorry for Brock Lesnar, because you think that Brock, no matter what the obstacle, you think that Brock is just going to smash right through it.
Yeah. All right. A few things in this match. We had let's start with, there was a really cool spot where Roman goes for the spear and Brock leaps over him, similar to when Biggie ducked under the Claymore. See, it's like such a little thing. You don't have to do crazy stuff, but you have to do something that's unique to you, right? It's like, what can Brock do? Well, we know Brock has a good vertical leap. You know, when he tried out for the NFL, whatever, apparently he has a 40-inch vertical, which is like NBA caliber. So let's show it. Let's show it off, especially since he's the baby face. It can't just be Suplex City only. Like, you know, so I thought that was a super cool spot. He did go to Suplex. He did take Roman to Suplex City short after that. We had the F5, of course, every Brock match, kick out. Really cool. The fans were really into it. Let's go Roman, Suplex City. Let's go Roman.
Yep. Which again, I think that it's one of those things where Roman Reigns is that eventually he's going to be turned babyface for that reason, because no matter how hard he tries, the audience is not bought into him as a heel. They like him too much.
Well, they were bought into him, but he's just happens to be the coolest thing on the show right now. So I'm going to be paying attention to see if he's booed at all. Once he's not booed at all anymore, that's when you can kind of flip it. But I wouldn't flip it because
not yet. No,
the
not
fans
yet.
are weird. They're cheering him because he's a freaking heel. It's annoying, but it is what it is with freaking top guys. It's like it happens. It freaking happens. If you turn him babyface, they'll start booing him. It's the craziest thing. But whatever. There was another cool spot where Brock tries to pick him up for the F5, and when he goes to do it, it gets reversed into a and a great babyface moment where he's like about to go out, you know, like he's really going out. He's really selling it, but he gets back up, slams him. This is another classic Lesnar spot. He's gonna F5 into the ref.
Yeah, which I didn't like that spot because Charles Robinson, the way that he set himself up for that, it was so clear. It was so clear that he was going to get hit with that. I think that probably what should have happened is that maybe Charles Robinson is away from it, and then when Brock throws Roman,
throws him into it.
It's with the understanding is like, hey, all right, big man, I'm going to rotate you a little more than normal, and the idea is that you're going to kick Robinson in the mouth on the way down. But the fact is Charles Robinson was standing right there is like, what was going to happen? He was going to, come on, man. Like, seriously.
Yes, it was a little obvious. Yes, you're right. But yeah, so the F5, ref bump, 1, 2, 3,
10, 20, you know.
So the ref is just out cold. You're going to see Brock make his way to the ref. A cool spot, another cool spop, something so small.
One arm, pick him up like
picks up the ref by his belt, which is what I used to do to my child. Playing around, it's fun to pick children up by their pants, like by their belt. Pick them up. It's fun. He does it to a grown man, and it looks crazy. It's a crazy visual. A grown man being picked up by.
And then he just drops him, like trying to wake him up.
He's trying to wake him up. He's like, "Yo, dude, like get up, like whatever."
he just dropped him to the mat, and Charles Robinson just disappeared.
So finally, we get some visual cues from Heyman. He looks a little concerned. He looks like he doesn't know what to do. He has the Universal title. There's no ref. He just puts it in the middle of the ring, and high pressure moment here. He has to make a good throw. for the story. Everything that he's done has kind of been in the middle for the whole match, right? He was stoic. He didn't cheer for anyone. He didn't have any reactions. He stood in the middle, and now he has to put the belt in the perfect spot. And he puts it in the perfect spot. It's right in the middle, in between both guys. We get tug of war spot. They're tugging and tugging and tugging. Lesnar gets the title, and this was a really cool spot. Out of nowhere, I did not see it coming. Double super kick, and they kick Brock's head off. They kick it clean off. Reigns hits him with the title. 1, 2, 3. It's over.
With a new referee. It only took him 10 minutes to get out to the ring after Charles Robinson got knocked out.
Yeah.
Shout out to Chad Patton. Took you a long time to get out there, friend.
Yeah. So, again, this was, to me, it was fun. I had a good time. I don't have a lot of complaints. Yes, you made a good point. The ref, that's a Lesnar spot, so that's Lesnar's call. He's the one who came up with that. There probably is a better way to execute, and maybe next time they will. But that's what we got this time.
Roman's tall enough. Roman Reigns is 6'3". Like, you mean to tell me that Brock couldn't turn, really turn him over and over rotate a little bit, so when he hits the spot, he's throwing Roman a little further than what he would normally go. And the understanding is that, hey, Charles Robinson, you're gonna get kicked in the mouth when this happens.
Right.
Be ready for it and take it. We'll apologize later, or we'll apologize up front, better said.
Right. But yeah, overall, this was another fun match. I have no complaints. It was a Lesnar match. There's hit or miss sometimes. This, to me, was a hit. It's Roman. Roman has a lot of good matches under his belt now. A lot of great matches. This delivered. I enjoyed it. I have no complaints. There's not much to say here.
This was a good match. One of the observations that I had in watching the match is when Roman Reigns did the dive off the top rope and to the floor. And I know that Michael Cole did a very good job of talking about when he said when he hit that move, he knew that he was in trouble, because Roman Reigns had not done that move in any of his matches so far since he turned heel. That was a move he took out of his arsenal. And he pulled it out against Lesnar, and I thought that was a really cool, subtle thing, because to fly off the top rope to the floor, that's not a heel thing to do. That's a babyface comeback fire thing to do. And when Roman pulled it out, because he understands that, for the first few minutes, Brock was giving him a really hard time. And then when he finally got the advantage on Lesnar, he's like, all right, I got to get this dude down. And he hit the big move, and after hitting him with 12 Superman punches, and then he did the dive and whatever have you. I thought that was really cool. Obviously, I've already beat up the ref bump spot to death here, but when it came to the guillotine, from the F5 to the guillotine, and I know that it's me nitpicking, because I know that the likelihood of this being able to be executed without it going wrong is very minimal. But it would have been cool had Roman Reigns gone from the spot and actually got him in the guillotine and had his legs wrapped around Brock's body. I don't think that he would have been able to do that, because the way that the weight gets distributed, Roman Reigns is a big dude. I don't know if Brock would have been able to support his weight in that position, doing all those movements at one shot. One of the things that I was surprised about in this match, believe it or not, is that Brock Lesnar didn't get any submission holds on Roman Reigns. No Kimura. No, what's the other? I know he uses the Kimura, and I think it was one or two other moves, submission type moves.
I feel like he does a guillotine sometimes too.
Yeah, and he didn't do any of that. Number 3, when I look at Brock Lesnar, I can't unsee Alexander Hammerstone. I just can't unsee that. He kind of looks like Goro with the haircut and all that.
I like it though. I like that he.
I do. I like the look. It's just a matter that when I look at it, I'm like, that's Alexander Hammerstone's gimmick. It's just you know, people don't know it because Alexander Hammerstone wrestling in MLW, it's a much smaller audience, but it's the exact same look. It really is. But shout out to Brock. It's a cool look. You know, I'm glad that he's doing something different because, you know, he's had the same look forever. So it's cool that he's doing this. The match in and of itself was actually very, very good. Shorter than I expected. I thought the match would go a little bit longer. But I'm glad it's actually good that it went shorter because obviously you still want to rematch this and you're still going to continue this program. With Heyman, when he threw the belt into the ring and he yelled at both guys, "You know what to do." And Heyman looked like he just cracked. And obviously the story is going to continue being which side is Paulie on? Because this match did not answer that question. It didn't. It still left it a very open-ended deal. And I didn't watch SmackDown this week. I didn't watch it to see, you know, what the continuation of the story is, but I think that that's going to be the thread that moves forward because these two guys are going to continue rematching each other. This is not over by a long shot. So there's still a lot of good stories to tell. Hopefully we'll get a match at the Survivor Series because I think that realistically that would be a big match to have then and see whether or not we get some answers, you know, regarding this, because I don't want to see Roman Reigns versus Big E at the Survivor Series, champion versus champion. I don't like the whole brand supremacy nonsense that WWE does with Survivor Series. I don't like it. I'd rather have them have, you know, maybe two Survivor matches that blend the Raw and SmackDown rosters and then have feature matches that are based on whatever stories they're telling on television. I think it's more compelling than the whole brand versus brand thing. I think that's just, you don't need that right now. Do something different.
Yeah, I mean, with that said, Lou, it's time to say goodbye to the people.
It's time to say goodbye. Oh, well, parting is such sweet sorrow, people. Now, you follow us at the Wrestlebros. It's been a long time since I said this. You follow us at the Wrestlebros. Instagram, the Twitter machine, at the Wrestlebros, TheWrestleBros. For Vic, I'm Lou. Deuces.